Okay, so I'm back in the shop now, and that spot works alright for the seat, so I just countersunk and screwed 2 more strips of 2x2 into the middle 2x2. Then I got this other foam. It's black and it's real rubbery and gummy. I'm just gonna wrap it over that 2 times and call that my middle seat. It's getting pretty heavy. I mean, I still have to trim off all the sides. I don't know how much weight that's gonna shed, but it's about as heavy as I want it to be right now. I don't really want to add too much more weight, and I still have to consider mobility, so I think I'm gonna add a couple of oar locks on the sides, and I'm gonna have to add handles so I can handle it. And I'm gonna have to wrap the styrofoam with something like a tarp or black plastic and just kind of wrap the bottom of the raft like a present. Alright, so that's how far I am. Okay, so the seat came out pretty bad. Kind of disappointed, but I took a piece of white lattice channel and I cut it in half and I wrapped it down, and I used that to screw it in, but the foam, I don't know, I measured it wrong or something, or it doesn't bend around corners quite like you'd think, so it ripped up in the back. But whatever, it's on there and it's padded, so I can redo that sometime in the future. Okay, so I took my Sawzall with a 12-inch blade and I trimmed up all my edges around the sides here. It worked out okay. I got some ABS black plastic pipe, 1.5 inch, and I screwed them on. Darn it. Actually, there's 3 screws fanned out in the back of this one. 1 screw straight down. And then there's a 3/4 inch hole hogged out, which is going to be my oar locks. So these are my handles. They actually make it feel lighter. And also the oar locks. Okay, and now I got this green tarp. It's a heavy duty 8x10, so that'll be just the right size to wrap around this. I'm going to try and glue it down with spray glue and use the ratchet straps to hold the tarp tight while it glues, and then after the glue dries I will trim and tuck the tarp. Okay, well, I glued the tarp down, but that glue does actually distort the foam, so I only did the bottom and I didn't glue the sides, but I flipped it over and I hooked on some ratchet straps to the tarp that are pulling it, stretching it around the boat, and then I weighted it back down so at least it can push down on the flat cement floor as the foam melts. Okay, now I've taken and I've ripped down some of the leftover plywood to these long strips. I'm gonna roll those strips up in the edges of the tarp and then screw them into the frame on the raft. Okay, so to try and better explain what I've done here, flip the tarp up. I've taken and I've nailed the strips of plywood all along the outside of the boat to the frame. Then I'm going to fold the tarp over, take a scrap strip, and underneath I'm going to lay it so this second strip gets laid along the shoulder like that. When I fold the tarp over, I can cut with a razor blade right along the seam, right along the valley, I guess, and get a perfect cut, hopefully, and not cut into the tarp underneath, which is the most important tarp. Alright, so now I've got the tarp all wrapped and buttoned up. And I rolled the strips of plywood up in the tarp, and I got a great deal on all of these washers. A lot better than the 7 cents a piece the hardware store wanted. So now I want to put like some trunk brackets over the corner wads of tarp here and put my oars in there, and that'll be it. I'll have to try her out. Alright, there she is in the daylight. Got the oars on. About time to load her up and test her out. Alright, first fish in the new boat. It's working pretty good. Alright, let's get this little guy off, let him go. And fish number 2. Right where I launched. Alright, he's 10 inches. They're getting bigger. There we go. Going back home after a successful fishing trip. First test of the new boat. And it fits perfectly in the back of my van. And it fishes great.